Hello everyone, welcome back to GeekDisorder's web series over HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, and jQuery. This is Lavik. I'll be walking you through this series. Alright, today we're going to start on CSS. And before we do anything else in CSS, the first thing we got to learn is how to get CSS to affect our HTML web page. And there are three ways to do this. One is called Inline. It's where you put the CSS styling element or styling attribute directly inside the HTML element you want to affect. This is probably the least used way. Companies especially don't like you to use this way because the more CSS you add, the bigger your web page, the more unruly this can get and out of hand, and harder it is to go back and change and maintain. Because if you think about it, if you have 500 paragraphs and you want all of them to be blue, well, you got to add that to every single one of those HTML elements. So if you want to change it, you got to edit every single one of them again. Alright, but I'm going to go ahead and show you that way so you'll know what it looks like. The next way is called embedded CSS. It's where you embed your CSS in your head of your HTML, your head element. And that one is still used some, but most of the time it's not used very much either for all your styling, mainly because it only affects the page it's on. So if you want to apply this to like a dynamic web page that's going to be generated a million times, you'd have to have that on every single page. So this is used some, but not as much as the next one. And the next one is an external style sheet that you link to, and y'all see me use that when we were looking at the div and the HTML5 semantic elements. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's open up a new Notepad++ document. And I have a new one here, so I'm going to go to Save As, go to my desktop, and I'm going to create a folder. I'm just going to call this folder CSS, open up that folder, and I'm going to call my web page, just call it index.html. Alright, go ahead and set up the basic HTML5 document. I'm going to start with doc type. Alright, and my HTML element with my language attribute. Oops, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to open up my head section. Go ahead and close that. I'm going to add in my meta tag with my character set attribute. Set that to UTF-8. Now I'm going to open my title. I'm just going to call this CSS. I'll go ahead and close that. Alright, and then I'm going to go down. I'm going to create a body. Alright, inside my body, the first one we're going to look at is the inline. So inside my body, we're going to go ahead and add a few things. We're going to add a paragraph. Oh, actually, let's do an H1. Alright, and my H1, this is my H1. There we go. Alright, and to add an inline, you go to the opening tag of your HTML element. In here, you add an attribute and you call it style. Alright, and that is not how you spell style. Alright, and whoops, there we go. If I wanted to change the color of the text, the CSS property to do that is color. Oh, and I'm going to do colon, and right now I'm just going to name the color. I'm going to do red. I can go to save, run, launch in Firefox, and as you can see, my text is red. And if I had, say, an H2, or actually another H1, I know, no. There we go. This isn't exactly correctly setting up the web page, but just to show you the how to use the inline, I'm going to put in here, this is my second H1, and if I save this and I'll run it's in Firefox, you see the styling only affects the first H1. It doesn't affect the second. In order to get it to affect the second, I've got to type it out again, and then save, run. Oops, did something wrong there. What did we do? Oh, I see. There we go. Save, run, and the second one is now red also. So as you can see, the more of an element you have, the more times you have to put it in each one of those elements. And then if you want to change something, if I want to change these to blue, I've got to go back and change both of these to blue. And with 2 it's not that big of an issue, but like I said, with 500 or so it can get kind of out of hand. So that is inline CSS. Again, I'd recommend you don't use this. You'll want to use mainly the external style sheets and maybe a little bit of your embedded, but mainly you want to rely on your external style sheets, because an external style sheet can be used with however many web pages you want. Alright, the second one we're going to look at is embedded, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this style attribute here. I'm going to leave my 2 head ones, and I'm going to move up inside my head section. And embedded CSS, you have to add a style tag. There we go. And then you put in the CSS you want. Like, I want this to affect my head 1, so this is what it would look like. Alright, and I'm going to change the color to red. And then I'm going to go save. I'm going to go run, launch in Firefox. And as you can see, this affected both of them. So if I come back over here and I change this to, say, blue, save, run, they're both blue. Okay. Another thing about CSS, and I can show you, this applies to all the ways you can do CSS, is the order in, like if you have a head 1 here and I have a head 1 here for some reason, and I put a color here and I change this to red, the one that is going to be used is the last one for that element. So if I launch this in Firefox, they're both going to be red. Right, I just wanted to make that note, and I'll remind you of that again when that becomes important. Okay, the embedded element, as I said before, is only affects that web page. So if you want to use that on another document, you have to copy it over. Alright, now let's look at the final way to use CSS, and that's the way y'all have seen me do it before, and that is using the link attribute. The link element with the real attribute, and we still set that equal to style sheet, and then we put a href. Okay, and we set that equal to where our style sheet is going to be. I'm going to put this in the same folder as this HTML document, and I'm going to name it main. Well, if I could type main CSS.css. That's what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to switch over. I'm going to create me a new file here, and I'm going to save as. I'm going to save it in the same folder with my index.html. I'm going to call it main CSS.css. Alright. And now I'm going to put all of my styling in this CSS file. So I can put a H1. Alright. Then I can go down here and I can change the color to yellow. Alright. And I can save. I can switch back over to my HTML file, make sure that's saved, and then launch in Firefox. And you can see both of those are yellow. Alright. And with this one, you know, I can use this main CSS.css file with, I can link to it from however many web pages I want, and it can be used on all of them. Alright, well, that is the 3 different ways to use CSS. The way we're going to be using CSS primarily is with the linked, we're going to link to external style sheets. Other than that, one other thing, when doing these, when linking to style sheets, you can add a third attribute, and it's called the media attribute. And we're going to look at this later, but I'm just going to kind of briefly explain it now. The default for the media attribute is the screen, so that's the reason we don't have to add it right now. But say we're this is going to be, we're making an HTML document that's set up for printing. Well, I would, I just put print in there. There's also like there is speech and projector and a bunch of other ones also, and we'll look at that a little bit later on when we're setting up a HTML file for printing. Alright, well, this has been Lavic with GeekDisorder. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If y'all do enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see y'all next time.